Welcome back to the Coaching with Impact podcast, the go-to podcast for female coaches ready to elevate their online presence and build a lasting impact. I am your host, Fifa Tran, and I am the owner of Faye Modern Creative Studio, helping diverse coaches shine with confidence through an elevated online presence using web design and holistic brand strategy. Each episode of this podcast features candid conversations and interviews with accomplished coaches and subject matter experts in various different types of industries who have navigated the challenges and triumphs of entrepreneurship and are ready to share their knowledge with you. So today we are diving into a fun topic that every coach needs to master, which is running your business with intention, purpose, and ease, and really stepping into your full, real CEO role. So we have here a special guest. Her name is Donna, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Dube?
Dube.
Dube. Okay, I
Yes.
figured it was that, but I wanted to ask you. So Donna
Yes.
Dube, who is a certified director of operations, a business growth strategist, and host of the CEO Amplify podcast. So she has her own podcast as well. And yeah, we're talking about all CEO level stuff today. And I can't wait to dive in and ask you all these questions. But before we dive in, please tell us a little bit more about yourself, your journey, and everything in your own words.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Fiva. I'm so excited for our conversation today. So yes, I started my business about 5 years ago, and it was really looking at project management is where I came into this online space, thinking that I could just come in, the back end of people's businesses and help them manage a certain project. So whether that was, I want to write a book, I want to launch a new offer, I want to, grow a team, how can I do this? Where's my budget? And so I really enjoyed that work. But what I quickly found is that so many coaches and online business entrepreneurs are drowning. And what I mean by that is that on the outside, things look great. But behind the scenes, they're working 24/7. They're overwhelmed. They're overworked. And they want to grow to that next level, but they're already beyond capacity. And so they don't know how to take the next steps to go forward because they're already working 24/7, right? I remember a client coming to me once saying, Donna, I've created a monster, not a business. Yeah, and it breaks my heart because so many of us, we're so passionate about what we do. We want to help people in our area of impact, but the business side of it takes over so many times. And so that's when I kind of switched gears and dove more into operations and how can I help these entrepreneurs really let go of things that don't matter and focus on that high level work, that CEO work, to really help them grow their business without working 24/7. So that's where I like to live now and help clients along that way.
Oh, I totally understand this. This is a struggle that many business owners face, not just coaches, but everybody who has a small business who is just starting off, and then eventually as you're scaling or you're trying to get to that point, it's a really huge mindset shift too, right?
Yeah.
So just being able to put on your CEO hat and
Mm-hmm.
also just being able to know what it is that you are good at, and then being okay with outsourcing some stuff or hiring help, or just not getting into the hamster wheel. It's something that's really, really difficult to overcome.
Yeah.
So we need people like you who are helping us get out of that and really just trying to shift that mindset so that we can start taking control over our business again instead of it letting us control us, right?
Yes, yes. And you're right. I think that mindset is a big thing because many of us, we may think of ourselves as a coach or a small business owner or an entrepreneur. We're not thinking CEO like a big business CEO, right? And yes, the role is a little bit different, but some things stay the same. And that is that you have to be responsible for the vision and the strategy. You can't outsource that to anyone else. And if you don't do it, no one will. Right? And so building in time each and every week for that vision, for that strategy, for that high level work that you can't give to anyone else. And that usually ends up at the bottom of your to-do list when it really should be at the top. right? And so flipping that script and really believing that, yes, I am the CEO of this business, even if I'm a solopreneur, because I'm responsible for where this business is going, right? What strategies I'm going to put in place and what things I'm going to say, that's a shiny object right now. I'm going to leave that to the side, right? This is the zone I'm in, the lane I'm in, and being able to, let go of things that aren't giving us that return on investment and really focus with intention.
It's so tricky to get out of that, like getting just outside of your business and just looking at it from a whole other strategic level. Like this is what you do when you first start, but it's so easy to get caught up in the small little tasks, and especially since you're the one wearing all the hats in your business, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, really difficult. So what would be your like how I know that you've helped a lot of business owners to really just ensure that they're focusing on their own tasks and like helping people to strategize better for this. So what are some of the strategies that coaches can use to kind of ensure that they're focusing on these tasks that
Yeah.
actually move the needle in their business?
Yes. Yeah. Good question. So there's a few pieces of the framework, but one I like to start with when I'm working with people, because most of us believe that some part of the time we're doing is the right thing. Like I'm not totally off on another wing, right? Most of the time I'm doing the right kind of tasks. And so I often ask them, what's one thing in your business right now that would move the needle forward? What's one focus area? What's one priority? So they say what their answer is quickly. And then I say, okay, now go look at your calendar. And if you're listening, I want you to do this. Go and look at your calendar, whether that's online or on paper, it doesn't matter. Is that priority on that calendar? Do you see it there this week? Is there time blocked out for it? Next week? Over the next month? And so many of us, myself included, didn't actually have that priority on my calendar. So it's a priority up here, but it's going to happen when everything else is done. We know what
Yeah.
that's like, right? It's a never ending laundry list that you never get to. And so if we really want that thing to help us move our business forward, it has to be top priority. And for most of us, that means we need time on our calendar dedicated to that. So that's the
Yeah.
first place we start, is looking at that schedule and actually building out an ideal schedule for you for the season of life that you're in. Right? And so your business ideal calendar might look very different from mine. Right? Someone with a 5-year-old at home is going to look very different from someone who doesn't have any children at home that they need to, take care of. Right? So it really has to be specific to you, and it has to be specific to what's most important to you. And so I always start with a blank calendar. And then the first thing we do is put on your life commitments first. But wait a second, we're here to talk about our business, not our life, right? Right. But if we don't build a life first business, then we're trying to squeeze life in between the cracks. And I've tried to do that, and that doesn't work. What that ends up with is a lot of guilty feeling because I now don't have time for the people that matter most to me. Right? So block off that time. If you have Tuesday lunch with Sally Sue, block it off. If you like to have a date night every Thursday, block it off. If you like quiet time in the morning, block that off. If you want a massage, block it off. Whatever is most important to you in your life commitments, make sure those are on your calendar first. And then from there, we can start to say, okay, what are my open hours going to be? Well, I'm an online business. I'm open all the time, right? But yes, your business is open all the time. Your website's open all the time, but you don't need to be available all the time, right? So what specific hours are you going to be at your laptop working? And that doesn't have to be 9 to 5, right? I remember working with a business leader, and she had young children at home. And so she liked to do some morning work. Then she'd take some time off in the afternoon because her kids were only like half day school at that time. And then she'd go back and do some work in the evening. And that's perfectly fine. That's the freedom that you wanted when you started your business, right? So if you don't want to work Fridays, take it off. Don't plan to be available on Fridays. If you leave that time open, someone's going to fill it.
It's a big point there. Yeah.
right?
Oh
Right. So we
gosh. Yeah.
block off those hours when we're available, and then we put like tasks together. So we're responsible for marketing. There has to be some sort of marketing system in our business. There has to be client delivery, and there has to be sales. And so each and every week, we need time on the calendar to devote to the tasks that we have to do for those three systems. Right? You may not have to do all the marketing in your business, but you've got tasks associated with marketing for sure. Right?
Yeah.
You've got tasks associated with sales and client delivery. And so block those off so that you don't have, for example, clients booking all over the place. You have certain times, when they're available. And if you like to do 2 or 3 in a row, and that's your cap, then put a buffer so that you have those 2 or 3 and then you have a break. And you're not zoomed out at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Definitely feel that. And especially nowadays, these days, I'm in my busiest season. And it's like I tend to put myself as like specific days where I have calls.
Yeah.
And this is like, but I tend to like put it as like coffee chats. I put it as like client meetings, strategy calls. It's like the reality is it also works different parts of the brain depending on what type of call you're getting on too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also something that you also have to keep in mind when it comes to scheduling specific days on your calendar, where you're just like completely getting on Zoom calls all day, right? So yeah, and
Yes.
I'm definitely guilty of not putting a cap on how many meetings I used to, but then I kind of felt a bit of that there's a bit of that FOMO where it's like if I don't include other days, which I am totally guilty of that. Like I felt like okay, some days where like some people couldn't make it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I would open up the calendar for
Mm-hmm.
other days because I felt like, oh, okay, if it's a discovery call, I don't want to have FOMO. So
Mm-hmm.
for that reason, I let it overtake me. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, yes. And I think you're right. It becomes a slippery slope, right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll open it up for this one off or for that one off. And then next thing you know, there's calls everywhere, right? And so I'm of the firm belief that there is enough. There's
Mm,
enough of whatever you're selling to whoever around. And so if you can't do a Tuesday morning call because life doesn't allow that to happen, then you can't do that. Right. And if the person coming to you is requesting a Tuesday morning and that's their only time, then they're not the right person for you.
mm,
They need to go and find their right coach, and you need to keep looking for the client who's right for you. Right. So just that mindset that it's not now or never, right? It's not a scarcity, there's an abundance. And we just have to continue saying our message and getting our message out there to meet those right people.
mm. So you really did mention a very important point here about life first is
Mm.
and really planning around that before your business. Because at the end of the day, you started your business so that you can have more of that time freedom, so that you can become your own boss and manage your life in your own way. But a lot of the times coaches and business owners, they let all of this overtake them and then they just forget when they are in the busy mode, especially for me who has burnt out before. I know very well how easy it can be for clients to dictate your days and client work to really take up all of your days, and it becomes really really tricky. So one thing that I do really really love about what you said is like really planning your life first, like planning out those little midweek things that that bring you joy, that
Mm-hmm.
could just break up your busy week into something more fun and flowy for you.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with that because it's
Yeah.
something that definitely is a mindset shift, but it's needed.
Yes, for sure. And I think too, for those who, are at a stage where their business is somewhat successful and they're
Mhm.
wondering, okay, what next? Many of us have dropped what I call our passion projects. So there are things that we enjoyed doing in life before we started our business, right? Whether that was skiing or dancing or art or whatever that is, but we had those things that we enjoyed doing. And many of us gave those up when we started our business because, well, we're starting from scratch. We've got to put everything into it, right? But now as it's growing, we're becoming successful. We're getting clients in the door. We're seeing revenue. What about those passion projects? We need to bring them back because that hour or two that week where you're doing something creative, something away from your business does a lot more for you than you think, right? And so I remember working with a client once and she really enjoyed salsa dancing prior to starting her business. And we got to a stage in the business where things were running fairly smoothly and she was itching. She wanted to, start new projects, start new things. And I could just see that was going to derail her team from focusing on what they needed to do. So I said to her, what about looking for something outside of your business? This energy can go towards, right? Well, like, what would I do? And so we started discussing, started tapping into that. What did she like to do beforehand? And the salsa dancing came up. And so she found a center where she could just recreationally go and salsa dance. And it worked wonders for her. She got all kinds of ideas. She got away from her business. She got to meet other people who enjoyed what she was doing. And it really did help and allowed the team to really focus on the core pillars, on the important things in her business, rather than her adding more onto them and then losing that focus.
I love that. Yeah, I really, really resonate with that, especially like last year, I felt that too, where, business was slower than usual. But as a result of it being slow, I kind of forgotten at that point that I had these hobbies and these passions, right?
Yes.
And these slow moments really helped me to just reflect on what it was that I was actually, more inclined to do if I just wasn't focusing on my business all the time, right? It
Mm-hmm.
gave me the space to focus on doing things that made me happy. And I realized a lot of it was like being in creation mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Creativity. And yes, sometimes you just forget when you're so in the weeds of your business, you forget to just step back and enjoy everything that you have around you. And yeah, it's really tough to just step back. But once you do, you can see the whole picture and you can kind of just let your team do their thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. It also helps to reduce, like, especially if you do have a team, it helps to reduce that urge and that sense to want to micromanage and to get in there and to do things that you don't necessarily have to do, right? So another big thing that I talk a lot about with my clients is this concept of growth versus maintenance tasks. And so I say to them, if you think about all the things that happen in your business to keep it running, all those tasks can fit into one of two buckets, either growth or maintenance. And so maintenance tasks are things like the admin work, customer service emails, updating the website, invoicing, bookkeeping, social media posting, changing email sequences and evergreen funnels, and all those behind the scenes little things that need to happen. And should we ignore those? Definitely not. But you have to think critically as CEO, as business owner, do I need to be doing these things? Then those growth level tasks, that's where you see the real return on investment. So that's things like sales calls, if you're doing that, selling one to many, JV partners and networking, teaching in front of other people's audiences to, gain more leads into your business. All of those things are where the gold really is as a business owner. But if we don't purposely set out time for those things in our week, we get sucked into those maintenance tasks very, very quickly, right?
Yeah.
And, some of your listeners might be listening today and going, okay, that all sounds great, Donna, but I don't have a team of 7. I'm a solopreneur, right? And there is still room for us to have growth level tasks on our calendar each and every week. So before we even start to think about hiring, there's 2 other things we can do first. One is eliminating. So thinking about things we do that aren't bringing us a return on investment that we can actually stop, right? We have to look at the data and make sure that it's not actually helping, then let's stop it. And the second thing is automating. So there's a lot of automation that we can do in our business before we even bring in someone to hire, right? Before we even grow that team. So there's opportunity to gain back some hours and then allow those hours to focus on those higher level tasks.
Yeah, that's a really great point that you brought there. And it's, it's not, yeah, you're right. Not everybody has a team, and it's really hard to just be able to sometimes know that, what are the things that are making me money and what are the things that aren't. So
Mm-hmm.
what are some indicators, or like really like obvious indicators that, or even just like, I know you need to take some time out of your day or out of your week to just assess these things, but how often should you be assessing this, and what are these like really obvious indicators?
Yeah, good question. So I think it depends on what metrics you're following. And so I always encourage my clients to pick some leading and some lagging metrics, meaning that lagging are things that's already happened. So things like your revenue, it's done, right? Your revenue for January is all finished. It's February now when we're recording this. So, your January revenue is done. You can't do anything to change that. But it's still important to follow as you're going through the month what's happening with your revenue. And the reason for that is because if some snowball is starting to build, we want to be able to stop it earlier than later. So if we don't look at our revenue until the end of the month, there's nothing we could have done to change it. But if we looked partway through and we notice, it's a little bit slow, what can I do to get, a cash infusion, to have a boost here? Maybe that's reaching out to some, hot leads that you have that you just want to reach out to again and touch base with. Maybe that's doing a flash sale if that's something, you have a digital product that you sell within your business. Whatever that is, but allowing yourself the space and the time to look at where you are compared to your goal and say, what can I do to get there? Right? On the other side of that is your leading metrics. And so those are things that we get to control, and then they affect that revenue, that lagging at the end. So for example, if you're building an email list, do you have a goal of how many people you want to get on your email list every month? And are you tracking that to see, are you getting close to your goal? Is it going to be perfect? Of course not. But we want to see over the pattern and trend over time. Are the things we're doing actually getting people on our email list? So if we use that as an example and we talk about social media along with that, okay, I'm a coach and I'm posting 5 times a week on my favorite social media channel, whichever one that is, right? Do I have a call to action in most of my posts for people to do something, right? Whether that's to download my lead magnet, get on my email list, listen to my podcast, whatever that thing is, do I have a call for action for them? And are they taking it? So it's not good enough just to say, well, I posted and I got so many impressions, right? We actually want them to take the action that we've asked them to do. And so if we're asking them to go and download our lead magnet, then let's go look in Google Analytics. Are people landing on the page? Are they putting in their name and email and then ending up on my email list? If they're not, then there's an issue somewhere along the way. My messaging's off. I'm getting in front of the wrong audience. I mean, there's lots of reasons for that. But that's where we get to dig in a little deeper and figure out, okay, what's off? Maybe that's a channel where my people aren't. And so I'm busy posting on it, but my target audience isn't actually there, right? And so really honing in and looking at that data and saying, okay, I'm putting time into this task, this project, whatever it is, what's the outcome? What do I want people to do? And am I seeing them do it?
Wow. Yeah, it's honestly, I'm definitely not a. I'll admit I don't look at my metrics enough, and
Most of us
I always.
don't.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely am. I keep saying, yeah, I'm a creative person. I don't like numbers and all that stuff, and it's definitely tougher for me to make the time to even look at these things. But I know it's crucial. So
Mm-hmm.
I did start to take some time to just focus on like understanding my numbers when it comes to bookkeeping and my
Mm-hmm.
accounting, because I had to,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just somebody like me could easily be very, very much overwhelmed with all the things that we have to keep track of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why a lot of people don't even bother even looking at the numbers, even though it's so
Yes.
important.
It's true. It's true. And you know what? It's very easy if we start small. Okay, I'm going to track 2 things, right? I'm going to start, let's say I'm going to start posting on Pinterest. So I'm going to give it 3 or 6 months, and then I'm going to go look and see, are people actually, pinning my pins, saving my pins, getting on my email list, or doing, again, the thing I'm asking them to do, right? And so we don't have to measure everything, but measuring a little bit, especially strategies that we're trying out in our business, makes a world of difference. Because then when your business coach or you say to yourself, is this working? You actually have objective data to answer that question, right? It's no longer, well, I like it. It doesn't take too long. It's not a grind every week, right? We have to look beyond how we feel about it and actually look at that objective data. So I agree, it's a big rabbit hole and you don't have to go down it, but I do encourage you to look at a few things, especially for what you're trying, those strategies that you're trying, because how else do you know if they're working?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Right?
true. And that's how
And
we
it
get
is
caught up.
such a relief to let go of something that isn't
Yeah.
working, knowing that your business isn't going to fall apart because it wasn't making a difference anyways.
Mm. So that's one of the crucial things that we have to do in order to help us eliminate instead of adding onto our plate more things.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so I understand now. Okay, like I do have to put some time aside every week and just look at the numbers, or how would you say once a week, or like once a month,
Yeah.
or
So I like to institute what I call a CEO Power Hour, which is
okay.
once a week. And so what you do is you find a time on your calendar, 1 hour, that's non negotiable. And so it must be the same time each and every week because we're creatures of habit, right? And so it doesn't have to be a Monday morning, but a Monday morning, a Friday afternoon, a Sunday evening, it doesn't matter which time. What's more important is that it works for you and you don't, let other things come on top of it. And so then during that 1 hour, you're reviewing some of your top metrics. You're setting what your priorities are for the week, 3 maximum, not 10 or 15, right? And then you're making sure that those priorities are in your calendar, that those priorities are communicated if they need to be. So, as an example, maybe next week I need to travel for 3 days. So I need to let my family know I'm out. Hopefully, let my spouse know, can you take over this, this, and this that I normally do, right? Because I won't be here. And the same goes for your team. If you have a team and you have certain priorities for that week, they need to know what those are, right? They need to know Monday morning is my CEO power time. So from 9 to 10, you can ping me, but you're not going to get an answer because this is my dedicated time to work on my business, right? So setting those priorities, looking at who you need to communicate that to, and then as women, we are terrible at this. So some self-care, right? Setting aside time for self-care, whatever that needs to be. If that means as little as tracking the water I'm drinking, then that's what it is, right? If it's making sure I got 20 minutes to get outside for a walk, that's what it is. But building those things in.
Yeah, that's it's really just being able to set those boundaries too when you do make that commitment, right? Because a lot of the times people are very reactive to the
Mm-hmm.
things that come up, especially for distractions like your phone, your email, especially the email. And yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in all of that and just react, stop what you're doing. And then once something pops up, you stop what you're doing and just tackle that, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
that is
exactly. And we
another.
want to flip that script, right? We want our weeks to be proactive, not reactive, right? So, as an example, when I start my mornings, like when I start my work mornings, I don't go into my email first thing. I have what I call a growth hour. And so that's 1 hour for me to focus on what I need to do for my business, working on it, not in it. right? So if that's, I need to create a new email sequence for something, or I need to create a new product, or I need to get a presentation ready for, a talk I'm doing next week, whatever that is, I have that 1 hour, 4 or 5 days a week, non-negotiable. There's no fire that's going to happen that can't wait an hour
It's
for
true.
most of us, right?
Yeah, and that's where people get caught up too. And I remember one of my old managers back when I was still working in corporate. And every time there was like a project manager was like, "Oh, this is urgent. Like I need this done right away. Otherwise, like I can't do this and that." And I loved her response every time. She was like, "Is someone dying today?"
Right.
Like whose life is in danger right now. And so
Yes.
she reframed it and really made it so that it wasn't that urgent. It wasn't as
Yeah.
urgent as they made it to be. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how we have to take the approach in our own businesses too, if some things do come up, right?
Yeah.
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 So,
100%. And the same attitude with our team, right?
yes.
We
Yeah.
hear people say all the time, well, I've tried to hire, but no one does it as good as I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be true. But you know what? We're not looking for perfection. If you can hire someone, pay them a lower rate than your rate, and they can do it while you can focus on that CEO task, and they get it done 75 or 80% of what you had, we're golden, right? Because broken links are going to happen. They're going to happen whether you do it or your team does it, right?
Exactly.
So we have to let some of that perfectionism go a little bit and know that it's important for Sally to work on this so I can do this other piece.
Mm. It's really that perfectionism and control piece that's really hard to overcome. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's some gold advice right there. It's we don't need it to be perfect. Perfect doesn't even exist, right? It's just all in our heads. At the end of the
Yes.
day. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is I know we've like shifted focus a couple of times. There's so many gold nuggets that you shared. But if you could give one piece of advice to someone trying to run their business more efficiently, what would it be?
Yes. So I think it would come down to this quote that I remember James Clear had in his book Atomic Habits. And that is that most of us think, I'm gonna paraphrase it because I don't have it exact, is that most of
Mhm.
us think we don't have enough time, but that's actually a myth. We have enough time. We need to focus that time on what matters most.
Mm.
And so I want you to go into your business day, tomorrow, the next day, whatever you've got left of this week, really looking at what am I doing? And is this CEO level work? Do I need to keep doing this? If not, can I stop it? Can I automate it? Can I delegate it? So I have more time on my plate for the freedom that I wanted in the first place and to focus on that higher level work. That's when we build momentum, and that's when we start seeing that sustainable success.
Being back in control of your time instead of it letting
Yes.
it run you, right?
Yes.
Oh, that was incredible. Well, I know that I'm sure a lot of the listeners are going to love this episode. And if you've been tuning in and you loved it, like please make sure to reach out to Donna and just like share your thoughts about like how you felt about this episode. And yeah, just share it with your friends because this is really something that everybody struggles with. And
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely learned a lot from you today. So I'm just kind of like taking mental notes so that right after this, I'm definitely writing everything down, everything that you mentioned. But really just I one big thing that I really took away from our conversation is really just building that life, building that your schedule around your life and not
Mm.
letting your business dictate you.
Yeah.
It's one thing that I've definitely learned from burning out, and it's not fun. When you burn out, it's so hard for you to get back into
Mm.
your feeling yourself again. So
Mhm.
just yeah, don't let that happen to you.
Yes. Yes. And be proactive, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, being more intentional with your time as well. Like we can let time slip away so easily with all the things coming up, but that's why planning is so important.
Yes.
All right. So I know you have a lot of incredible things happening around in your business right now, but can you tell the audience about something exciting that's coming up that you're working on right now or would like to share?
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. Um, so, yes, I am really excited about opening up some one on one coaching spots within my business. I have a little bit of time and I've organized my calendar. So, I'm looking forward to just, making a bigger impact and reaching out to more people and helping them really, organize their time. So, yeah, that's one thing I'm looking forward to for sure.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. So if you are feeling overwhelmed in your business right now and it's dictating your life, make sure to grab a spot with Donna and just learn from her. I mean, you shared so much today and everything that you mentioned is what everybody kind of needs to shift their mindset around, right? So I learned a lot. I gained so much insights. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope this episode gave you as much clarity as it did for me on how to run your business with more intention, work smarter, not harder, and really truly step into your CEO role. So, before we wrap things up, can you tell the audience where the best place to find you is?
Yeah. So they can find me at my website, which is ceoamplify.ca. And when you go there, you can download a free resource, which is the CEO Power Hour Playbook. So it ties into that Power Hour that we were talking about and just walks you through how to actually institute that Power Hour and what in the world you should do once you have it on your calendar.
Oh, that's a good one. I think I'm gonna have to grab that one myself. Well, as always, thank you, Donna. Thank you so much for your time. If you enjoyed this episode and you found value, it would mean the world to us if you leave us a review, a rating, or just share a voice note. We love hearing your voice notes. So we're always eager to hear whatever it is that you have to say, whatever we can improve on. Let's open the discussion. Until next time, and thank you so much again for tuning in to the Coaching with Impact podcast.